Hola, it's Matthew here from Hola Properties with Amy, one of the partners here. And this video is just following on from the recent monthly market report we put out, but is very important. It is about AFOs, DAFOs, SAFOs. Pick anything that ends with fo, and it will probably be included in this video. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much.
Let's clear up this AFO thing. So we're going to have a look today at what they're called, what they actually are,
yes,
what they really mean,
yes,
and how that affects homeowners out there who may or may not have one.
Absolutely.
And
Good
then,
questions.
Then we will put another video out with some of the urban myths about it, because we keep getting asked that, but we don't want this to be too long for everybody.
Yeah, that would be a long video.
So, AFOs, SAFOs, DAFOs, what are they?
An AFO is a certificate and a process that you do to regularise a property.
Okay.
So this would be done for a property that either has no paperwork at all because it was done with no building permits, or for a property that, although building permits were obtained, what was built wasn't what was in the building permits, which is both are very commonly done here.
Yep.
And what it stands for in Spanish is Asimilado Fuera de Ordenación. So what you're doing is you're regularising any properties that stray away from the planning legislation for that area. Okay. Or do not have any paperwork.
But in actual fact, there's not really any difference between an AFO, a DAFO, a SAFO. Different names, all the same thing.
They're all going to go through exactly the same process. You're going to get your AFO, DAFO, SAFO certificate at the end of it. You have to go through the same government bodies, the same processes. You have to go through your town hall. So the process is the same. There are slight variations for different properties. That's all.
Okay. And this is different from the licence of first occupation?
Very different, yes. Your licence of first occupation, first of all, isn't something that's necessary in all areas. An AFO is regularising the building that exists. And it's a significantly more intricate process. It's more lengthy and more expensive.
Always.
Always.
Okay, so that's what it is. What's the importance of it? What does it mean?
What it means is that if you have built a property and it is over 6 years old in the majority of cases, I'm not going to talk about 100%.
We'll look at the 6-year rule in the urban myths later.
Absolutely. There are exceptions, but we'll go into those later. But in general, if your property is over 6 years old on satellite images, then you can apply for this certificate and it will regularise your building, allowing you to put it into the deeds of your property, which you would otherwise be unable to do. There is, which we will go into in the other video, another way of doing this, but it will leave you open to problems in the future. It's called an existing building certificate, but I would say it's something to approach with quite a lot of caution, and we'll probably go into that more in another video. Yeah. But if you are looking at properties that have been legalised with an existing building certificate, it is not an AFO, and it will bring up other problems.
And why, partly why are we making this video? Why have AFOs suddenly become so much more prevalent and so important?
Since the 2021 LISTA, which we mentioned in our previous video, that's been the big game changer in this area.
For those at home, we know what the LISTA is, but what's the LISTA?
The LISTA is a new legislation in Andalusia that was introduced in 2021, and it affects all planning legislation, but has particularly affected AFOs on rural land, protected land, and it has, although AFOs have become more difficult in some respects, they've become more widely available in others. So previous to the LISTA, for example, on unprotected land, you could not get an AFO. on protected
land, yes.
you could not get an AFO. Now, if it's protected land, you would be able to get an AFO. Again, there are certain exceptions to that, but we're talking overall, the LISTA has opened up the amount of properties that are eligible to get AFOs.
And so what's the importance of this AFO? Because certainly in the last 12 months, we're now seeing every lawyer is asking for an AFO.
Yes.
In fact, they're even asking for AFOs on properties that don't need them. It's almost like become a standard copy and paste. We want an AFO.
Yeah, I think
AFO.
With the new LISTA, it's changed everything because on a legal level for rental licenses, on a legal level for mortgages, on a legal level for building permits, an AFO is now obligatory. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking to do any of those three things and other things with your property, you will need to have an AFO. If you do not have an AFO on your property and it is not done with the exact correct building permits from day one, with its signed off final building certificate, then you will never be able to get a building permit on your property.
Okay.
So you'll never be able to fix the roof if there was a leak. You cannot change your windows if they're old and you need better insulation. You can literally never do any legal building on your home.
Okay. So that's why it's become more important now that,
Yes.
That people are asking for it. How does that affect people who maybe need an AFO? Well, I guess, first of all, how do you know if you need an AFO?
I would suggest either contact with somebody like us, because we do work with AFOs a lot, or if you're already working with an architect or a lawyer, contact your architect or lawyer. We are very happy to go through paperwork and look and check whether you need an AFO, and we can definitely do that for you, or your lawyer or your architect would be able to do that too.
Yeah, we do have specialists here who can help people who are thinking of maybe selling their property in the future, or have
Definitely.
bought somewhere and aren't sure whether they have one or need one, who can clarify that for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that on your own, if you don't have a lot of experience in this matter, it would be quite confusing and quite hard to check for yourself.
Yeah, and I would say, one of the things we're going to do is the urban myths about this. But yeah, for those watching at home, please don't use a Facebook group to get advice on whether you actually need one of these or not. Please get some professional advice. I see so many conflicting posts all over the place of, I can't begin to explain the bad information that I've seen out there.
There are so many AFO rumours, and I think there's become almost AFO phobia. Mm-hmm. So because they can be notoriously tricky to get from the beginning to the end of your AFO, because they are expensive. You're making a big investment. People have AFO phobia, we'll call it. And it's something a phobia, yes. And it's something that seems bewildering, overwhelming. So this kind of the rumours and the misconceptions have grown around them.
Okay, so in essence, for our viewers at home, if someone first of all, if if they're not sure whether they need one or not, get in touch. One of our specialists can clarify whether they do or they don't.
Absolutely.
And then if they do, what impact is that going to have? If you don't have an AFO, is it going to have a direct impact on the value of your property?
Absolutely. We're seeing cases almost on a weekly basis of rural properties that have extended. So they're not illegal by any means. They're just unregistered, either completely unregistered or partially unregistered, where they've extended or they've built completely illegally. And lawyers simply will not advise their clients to proceed and buy properties like this. And if they do, they will put a huge amount of conditions, which are unattainable, attached to the purchase, meaning that if it is a buyer who doesn't understand or have a lot of knowledge, which most people that are buying and are new in our area, they don't have a lot of knowledge, they will run for the hills screaming. Because when your lawyer says don't buy it,
of course,
they pay a lot of money to listen to their lawyers, so they won't buy it.
Yeah. Okay. And so if someone first of all, checks with us, see whether they need one or not. If they do need one, what's the sort of timescale we're looking at to obtain one?
Timescale-wise, it can depend on the town hall that you're dealing with. You're looking at a minimum of 12 months, an absolute minimum of 12 months, and that would be going via an architect or lawyer who really knows what they're doing, that knows everything about this new extra process with the Water Confederation, that knows if you're close to a main road and you've got to deal with the Road Confederation, that knows how to deal with all of the potential problems that can come with an AFO, because it's not just one easy certificate. There are so many variables. If you have somebody that really knows what they're doing, 12 months in an okay town hall. If you're dealing with a busy town hall that has a lot of property within its municipality or within its area, then you can easily be going up to 18 months or 2 years.
Okay. So really important if someone's thinking of, I guess if you're thinking of moving in the near future, the next 2 to 5 years, it's really important to sort now.
Absolutely.
And if you need to move sooner than that, we really need to get that process going for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Also because you might need to make, which we touched on in the other video, you might need to make physical changes to your property in order for it to be compliant for an AFO. You might need to change the ceiling heights. You might need to install a new septic tank because the legislation for the septic tanks was updated and has changed. So even if you put a septic tank in 5 years ago, that may no longer be valid.
Sure.
So you may need to also counter in time to do building work before you can begin the AFO process.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different factors there.
Factors in play.
There's a lot of juggling to be done.